You know that feeling of being completely lost? And I don't just mean in a new city without your GPS. I mean feeling lost in life, kind of isolated, like you're on the outside looking in. Today we're going to get into a really powerful story about what happens when someone feeling exactly that way finds an unexpected, life-changing friendship.
All right, so to really get this, let's start with a feeling I think we've all had. That sharp, sinking feeling you get when you lose something really important. I mean, really. Think about it for a second. Your keys, your wallet, maybe something with more sentimental value. There's a story from the source material that just nails this feeling.
So, picture this. About 15 years ago, a smartphone gets stolen. And look, it wasn't about the phone itself, right? It was what was on it. Years of family photos, memories, just gone. And even all this time later, that feeling of wanting to get it back, to find that piece of your life, it's still there. It's that desperate search for something precious.
And that exact feeling, that's the key to our whole story today. Because according to the source material, that same intense, desperate search for something precious that's gone missing is exactly how God feels. But he's not looking for an object. He's looking for people.
Okay, so what does it even mean to be lost in this sense? And who's doing all this searching? Let's break down this core idea.
Right here, this one verse is basically the foundation for everything. It's a mission statement, plain and simple. The Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. It's direct, it's powerful, and it raises a big question. Who is the Son of Man?
Well, this title, Son of Man, is what Jesus often called himself. It's a direct link to ancient prophecies about a Savior who was promised. Someone who would come from God, but as a man, to rescue people. So when Jesus says this, he's basically saying, hey, that search and rescue mission you've been hearing about, I'm the one who's here to lead it.
So, what does being lost really mean here? We're not talking about your GPS failing you. It's about your internal compass. The idea is that there's a path God desires for us, one of connection, humility, and love. But being lost means we've chosen a different path, one that leads to separation, pride, and jealousy. And it's that separation that's the real issue.
Now, let's make this idea a bit more concrete. It's time to meet a man named Zacchaeus, who was, the absolute poster child for being lost. So who was this guy? Well, to put it mildly, nobody liked Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector working for the enemy, the Roman Empire. In everyone's eyes, he was a traitor, getting rich by taking money from his own neighbors. He had all the money in the world, but he was completely, utterly alone, a total outcast.
But then Zacchaeus hears this rumor going around. People are calling Jesus a friend of tax collectors and sinners, and they mean it as an insult. For everyone else, it was a criticism. But for Zacchaeus, for him, those words were a lifeline, a tiny glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, this man could be a friend to someone like him.
So when Jesus actually comes to town, Zacchaeus runs out to see him, but he hits a wall. Literally. He was a short guy, and the crowd was a solid wall of people. And believe me, nobody was moving aside to do him any favors. They couldn't stand him.
And what he does next just shows you how desperate he was. This rich, important man in his fancy robes, he just ditches all his dignity, hitches up his clothes, and scrambles up a tree, like a kid, all for the tiny chance of just getting one look at the one person who might not hate him. And this, right here, is the moment everything changes. This is where the seeker finds the one who's lost. Out of this whole massive, noisy crowd, Jesus just stops, right under that very tree. He looks up and he calls him out. By name. Zacchaeus, he says, come on down. I have to stay at your house today. Not, hey you, but Zacchaeus. Can you just imagine the shockwaves going through Zacchaeus right then? It's one thing to be seen in a crowd, but to be known, to be called by name, for a guy who is basically invisible to everyone except as that traitor, this was world-changing. And then an invitation to his house? That was just unthinkable. And the crowd? Oh, they are not happy. You can just hear the grumbling, the whispers. He's going to that guy's house, to a sinner's house. Their reaction just puts a spotlight on how radical and countercultural this moment really was. Jesus wasn't just tolerating him, he was choosing him, publicly. And this encounter wasn't just a nice little moment that they both forget. No, this single act of friendship completely flipped Zacchaeus' world upside down. The change was instant, and it was real.
We're not talking about some vague promise to be better. Zacchaeus gets up and makes two huge public declarations. First, he's giving half of everything he owns to the poor. And second, if he's cheated anyone, he's paying them back 4 times over. This was a 180-degree turn on his entire way of life.
And Jesus' response just seals the deal. He says, "Today's salvation has come to this house." But it's more than just forgiveness. By calling him a son of Abraham, he was restoring Zacchaeus' identity, welcoming him back into the community he'd been exiled from for so long.
So what's the takeaway for us? What are we supposed to do with a story like this? Well, it's pretty much a 3-step guide. First, we got to look inward and check our own attitudes for pride. Second, ask for the ability to see people the way Jesus does, without judgment. And third, and this is the big one, we have to actually go out and be a friend to the lonely, to the people everyone else walks past.
At the end of the day, this isn't just some old story about a short guy in a tree. It's this powerful reminder that nobody is too lost to be found, and that sometimes a genuine friendship is all it takes to change a life. So it leaves us with a really important question. Who's in your tree? Who around you is just waiting for someone, maybe for you, to stop, look up, and call them by name?